Hi guys, and welcome back to another XRP video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the bigger macro picture for the price action of XRP. Some interesting developments are unfolding, and I want to kind of share my thoughts and opinions as to kind of where things could potentially be heading next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, subscribe and stay up to date with all the content that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Let's jump right down into today's video. So here we have XRP paired up with US dollar on the 1 week Bitstamp data. Okay, this is a chart here. Now this goes all the way back to 2013, and we can see some really interesting insights with the price action over this time period. So I want to kind of reflect on what has happened historically and where we are today and what's potentially on the horizon next. Okay, so let's kind of see that we have a bit of a interesting surge back here in December of 2013, right? This is basically an interesting kind of bull market peak. You can see that we came down very aggressively during this period here, okay? And we actually had no new bear market low after July 14th, 2014, right? We can see that right in here as well. So go ahead and just draw this in so you can kind of see this particular pattern kind of forming out. This kind of falling wedge pattern has led to a huge breakout in 2017, right? Where we saw fantastic runs to the upside. You can see these also on some smaller time frames here as well, right? As you can kind of see, we just draw another one in right inside here. So you can kind of see how that kind of formation right inside here led into this next kind of big surge to the upside. And of course, we have that all-time high sitting up there at $3.31.7 here on the Bitstamp USD chart. So why am I talking about this? Well, this particular pattern is something that's kind of emerging over and over and over again. You can kind of see it time and time again, in fact. And what's really interesting is we have a really big one forming here on the chart from that all-time high coming down into this kind of falling wedge. And this one's actually more of a triangular base pattern though, because we can see here that we actually have it forming like this. But this is very interesting to me because this allows us to see what potentially is on the horizon next with the next big break to the upside. There's lots of different ways that you can kind of analyze this. A lot of people might say we've lost that, we've broken it. We're actually still above it. We just retested some of these existing lows. But what we have got is here is consistently set higher lows on this weekly time frame. There was a couple of moves here on the smaller stuff, smaller time frames, where we can see they're going down a little bit deeper, but this most recent kind of analysis is quite an interesting one where we can see a potential bullish run to the upside. So as we can kind of see here, if we reflect on this over a long period of time, XRP's price action is in a really interesting spot. Now, it's in an interesting spot for multiple reasons. Obviously, we have everything that's going on with the SEC and how the judge has basically got that verdict of 125 million, how the SEC looking to appeal, all that kind of stuff bubbling in the background. Now, I'm recording this actually a little bit ahead of time because I'm traveling to Thailand from Malaysia here. But you know, whether that's developed anymore, check the content for short videos and stuff like that in the Discord server. Obviously, that's where we're going to be communicating over the next couple of days more than we are on the YouTube side of things. But for where it stands right now at this point of recording, things are looking pretty promising for XRP. Now, I do want to kind of show you guys not only this kind of an idea here that we are looking for this bigger break to the upside. I also want to reflect on the kin token. Now, the kin token went through something back in 2019 into 2020 with basically being accused of securities fraud, right? They were found guilty, had to pay a fine, and then had an injunction that basically prevented them from selling to institutional investors without first getting approval from the SEC. Okay, why am I talking about the kin token? Well, I'm talking about it because this area right here, October 2020, is where they actually got that verdict. They were found guilty, had to pay a fine, and they were not allowed to sell to institutional investors. But what did we see in the market after that verdict? Well, we saw this surge to the upside. It was 12,770% during that period from October 2020 up to the peaks of April 2021, after which, of course, we went tumbling down. But where we can see here is that with the worst possible scenario unfolding for the kin token and for Kick Interactive, we basically saw fantastic price appreciation. And the question then became why? Well, it was because clarity was there. It was a security. They were selling it. That was illegal, and they've paid their fine, right? These are fundamental things that help us understand that the market doesn't really care whether it was a security or not a security. What they cared about was the clarity, and they didn't have clarity during the lawsuit. And that's why we saw this negative price action all the way through from 2018. Even though we saw great growth in Bitcoin in 2019, we saw still this continued move to the downside. As soon as clarity came around, we saw a fantastic run to the upside, 12,770%. So what about Bitcoin? What about XRP? What does that mean for XRP? Well, with clarity, right, we know that as it sits today, that XRP was classified as a security when Ripple was selling to institutional investors. It was 1,278 transactions, I believe, that were deemed security sales. And that's what the $125 million fine was all about. Programmatic sales on the exchanges was deemed not a security, basically. Now, the SEC are more than likely going to appeal the $125 million fine, I would have thought. They are trying to go for $2 billion, right? So they might appeal against the $125 million, and they might appeal against the programmatic sales of XRP on exchanges. These are two matters that are unresolved at the moment, and that's why we haven't seen huge price appreciation just yet, because the whole entire thing hasn't been put to bed. But when it does, we have that potential breakout. We not only do we see here this historical setup pattern time and time again, but we could be on the cusp of that next surge once we get the clarity, because the market generally doesn't matter or doesn't care whether it is a security or not a security. What they care about is the clarity that comes with a decision. Okay, so at the moment, it stands that there is kind of clarity that sales on exchanges are not securities. And also, we don't know whether or not we are going to see Ripple being able to still sell to institutional investors. Now, obviously, there's in part restrictions from the judge, because obviously they're accusing Ripple of maybe pushing that the boundaries and crossing the line and all that kind of stuff. I spoke about this already. But for the most part, once we get full clarity on where everything sits, that's going to set precedent not only for XRP, but for the wider crypto market, and is going to potentially set us for a breakout of this particular area. Now, as we take a look at this over a multiple year period, we can start to think about what this might mean for price action in general. Okay, so here we can see great runs to the upside. And that run to the upside here is very interesting to me. Okay, this particular structure. So let me show you. We have the kind of idea here that we have a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5 like this. Okay, then we've just gone into this kind of really big correction over a significant period of time. And our next break to the upside could be mirroring everything that we saw from June 2014 up to the highs of January 2018 mirrored again. Now, if we were to do that, we'd obviously have to see a lot of really good reasons and rationale as to why, but this could be a phenomenal run for XRP over multiple years. We aren't saying that this is going to happen in 2025. It could potentially be a 2030 plus scenario, but this could potentially lead XRP's price in the next kind of maybe 8 to 10 years out of this kind of area of previous consolidation into that range of $130 to $692. Now, obviously, during this entire journey, I don't think XRP would be alone in that run to the upside. It could be that we actually see a significant number of other cryptocurrencies performing very well. I've spoken about many times at this point that essentially 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 believes that by 2045, Bitcoin is going to be somewhere between kind of $3 and $49 million, with that medium target of $13 million by 2045. And if we see Bitcoin reach $13 million by 2045, how high do you think XRP could go? Maybe I'll drop a video on that soon. And so what we've got going on here is this idea that, yeah, we can see some significant growth to the upside. Percentage-wise, this would be pretty phenomenal at around 118,000%. Obviously, I think we've seen 12,000% when it came to Kick Interactive. That would put us around that kind of $14.50 kind of range. Again, that comes right up there on the 702 fib scale. As you can kind of see here, if we start to think about, well, the next kind of 2025 bull market targets, it does, to me, look like we have the ability to kind of fall inside this pocket between $8.75 and $28.72. It's a long stretch of a target, of course, but it's important that we kind of reflect on where that could potentially be going. Okay, so lots of potential hopium here for XRP in that kind of next medium to long term. I think 2025 is going to be a phenomenal year. $8.75 to $15, or maybe even pushing the boundary out towards $28 is something that I think we could potentially see, considering everything kind of going right for XRP. And of course, as we start talking about maybe 2030, well, we actually have a $130 target, which actually isn't as outrageous as you might believe. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of this in the comments down below. Where do you sit with your long-term price predictions for XRP? And if you have found it too useful and informative, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. And if you haven't done so yet, check out my second channel where I cover a lot more technical analysis over there.